Welcome to the Innovators Club Asia Insights. And I'd like to welcome Donald Soo, who is founder and CEO of Paramount Wealth Management and Kozai Limited. Donald, I think on everyone's mind at the moment is the metaverse. And there are going to be so many metaverses, and we've just heard that JP Morgan have entered into the metaverse field. Can you give us a few thoughts on, because it's a learning curve for everyone, what is the value of the metaverse?
I think, from my opinion, I think I probably have to go with my childhood and historical sense, is that I grew up on computer games. So, and I think a lot of people have grown up on computer games. And if you've grown up on computer games, then you're actually in, a universe within that computer game that you're acting out. Now, obviously, the early stage was the game Pong, where it's like the little tennis thing go back and forth. And then it's like you being on the ping pong table. Now, obviously, if you go into playing, first-person shooters and you're immersed into some sort of battlefield, right? Then you're acting out as a soldier, if you will, and you can go into Sim Cities. There's a whole raft of different games. Now, the metaverse is, I think, personally, is an extension of that, right? The only difference between that and say your traditional computer games is that now we're not just controlling a character that we just walk away from when the game's finished. We are now controlling, call it, your own your own personal personified avatar within this metaverse that you don't walk away from. It's you in a way in the digital world.
But then are you, is it sort of really commercializing the gaming world for you to have a presence and, try to create a reality when there is reality, but you're going into these different metaverses to just fantasize a bit?
Yeah, look, I think that a lot of people think it's fantasize, but I think that down the track, it will become become part of a very important part of what we do. Now, I think it's going to happen right now? I mean, at the very edge, we are starting right now. Do I think it's going to be the big thing, in the next, 5 years? No, I think there's a lot of things that have to happen, but it's a bit like the Wild West. Everyone is dipping their feet. It's a bit like crypto. That you brought it up before. Everyone is putting their toes in. Everyone is dipping in, and then hopefully, my business is worth X, and I'll put in 1% into some of this, and hopefully it pays off big time. If you've seen some of the tech companies, whether it's sort of like Amazon and Tesla and SpaceX, where the share values are just gone through the roof, some of the things like Apple. And I think that the barriers to entry is so low in the metaverse, right? The real question is that why not, right?
But is it really because it's being driven by Gen X? And as you said, going back to your childhood, it was all about computer games. So it's something that they can relate to very easily, and now it's spreading further.
Yeah, look, I think that, like I said, it's really early stage, right? And if you actually take a look at it, I don't think we totally have the computing power at the moment. A lot of it looks like very blockish, and not that sophisticated. The other thing is that these metaverse servers and these places have been springing up all over the place, right? And basically, which is the winner, right? Who knows, where this is end. I mean, if we knew to invest in Apple when Apple first started out, we'd be really happy.
Correct, right? But how does a bank, Donald, create this metaverse and say it'll basically operate like a bank when there's no regulation? The
Yeah,
whole system is based on decentralization.
and
I'm sort of curious.
and the answer to your question is that I don't know. Because if you take a look at the moment, just in the normal technology, you go and do your banking through your apps on your phone. Before you had the phone, it was and still web-based, and it's still web-based is still just as important as your phone. It's another avenue, and it could well be that the metaverse could be another avenue. Now, in terms of a bank doing this, right, I'm not quite sure what their strategic goal is. But if they can create like call it a metaverse, where it's like you're walking into the bank's lobby, then you'll be greeted by a virtual person, which may be a real person behind it, and then they're offering you all the services, through this metaverse bank that you would normally get if you were walking down the street and doing it, and therefore out of that, through I guess through some extra security features, and you can actually do your banking virtually, right? Maybe that's what they're looking at trying to do, and capture that part of the market where they, instead of opening up branches, right, they can basically cut down their costs, and people can actually do all their banking and get all their services through the metaverse. So instead of waiting in line, you maybe take a number, and as soon as somebody's ready for you, and then they'll let you know, and then you just get back to your computer or your virtual reality set. Who knows? But I suspect that it'll be something similar to that, where they may be trying to create, and I think that they're innovating in this sort of thing, to try to create some experience to actually capture more business, and so I think that the strategic thing is that to take a look at, could this be the banking of the future? And this is just focusing on banking, obviously, and then the things that tactically, what do you need to do it, and maybe the metaverse is the answer. But
So you think that maybe the legal side is just a little bit behind, and maybe they'll come in and there will be some form, because if you're a consumer, yes, you want the experience of the metaverse because it will provide a great experience, and it's a bit of fun because you've got your own avatar. But then everything that you deal there, it's at your own risk. There's no security or anything in what you do in the metaverse because there's no framework at the moment.
I think this is always going to be the case in cutting edge technology, the way things are being done at the moment. I think some of the EV cars is a good example of that, where some of the buyers of those cars, they actually sign away and waive some of their rights as a consumer, as they're also testing out software that drives the cars and everything else. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. It's a hit and miss. But those drivers cannot, or those owners of those EV cars, electronic cars, cannot take the car company to court, because they say they probably waived a lot of their rights. Now, but over time, just like everything else, I think that the regulators will come in, right, and the legal will come in to strengthen that experience. But at the moment, as I mentioned, that I think it's still cowboy country at the moment, Wild West.